Okay, so that's all the triggers for the buttons right now. We're going to preview this in a minute, but I just want to get some other things set first, and we're just going to keep everything spread out, and then we will layer it on top of each other just so we can see everything happening. So we're going to create some text boxes now, and I'm just going to place them maybe just for now in the bottom right corner here, because we will have a little speech bubble that's going to pop up here. So I'll just place them down here in the bottom right to start with. So let's go back to the storyboard just to see what we need to create. So we need to create a text box that says start here and repeat in the opposite direction so they know what they're going to be doing, and then a retry button. So that's what we're going to do right now, and then we'll come back to create the caption that's going to say, click on each button to see how the juggling sequence is broken down. So we'll go to Insert, Text Box, and I'm just going to type right now, start here. And I'm going to leave that as white text. I'm going to bold it. I'm also going to, let's go up here to create shadow there. And I'm going to change the size to 18 just so it's bigger. You can use whatever you'd like. And I'm also going to center it like that. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. We'll leave that for now. So we'll leave it here. And then we're going to create another one. So we could just copy that. And I'm going to write here, repeat, opposite direction. I'm just going to make that a little wider. Okay, something like that. So it should already be white and bolded and all that because we just copied it and centered. Okay. Let's also make sure these are extending out to 60 seconds because we just created them. So yep, so it looks like repeat opposite direction goes out to 60 and start here does too. And let's just make sure they're going to show always. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to go save this right now so we don't lose anything. It's always a good idea to continue to save as you go through. All right, so I've gotten this text box and this one. So the start here text box is going to be placed above the first set of the buttons here. And then this next one is going to come in when these ones disappear to show this next set right here. So that's the thought process there. But like I said, if you wanted to do it a little bit more simply, you could just have them all showing all at the same time. So I'm just showing you a bit more of an advanced way to do this. Okay, so let's go down and just make sure that the initial states are set properly. So for start here, we want the initial state to be normal. That's correct because we want that to show up when this slide appears. But for the repeat opposite direction, we want that one, the initial state, to be hidden. So let's just change that. There we go. All right, so let's set some triggers for this. So if we go back up here to button 3, okay, so remember when this slide starts, the start here text box is going to be on screen. But once we've clicked on all 3 of these first buttons, 1, 2, and 3, when we get to the third one, we want start here text box to disappear and we want repeat opposite direction to appear. So we need to then create some triggers to make that happen. So I'm going to click on button 3, but you don't really need to. You can just go up to create trigger. We're going to change the state. I'm just going to move this so we can see this a bit better. Change the state of text box 1, so you can see it highlighting there, that's the start here one, to hidden when the user clicks button 3. So button 3 is this one right here. And then click OK. And then we'll create another trigger. We're going to change the state of text box 2, which is repeat opposite direction, to normal so that it appears when the user clicks button 3 again. And then we're going to create another trigger. So for button 6 here at the end, that's when we have repeat opposite direction still up. We want this to disappear so that a retry button will come in. We're going to create that in a second. So let's just create this trigger first for this button 6. So create trigger. We want to change the state of text box 2, which is the repeat opposite direction, to hidden. So we want that to disappear when the user clicks this last button here. Okay, so now we're going to insert a retry button. So go up to insert, button, and you can choose whatever one you want here. I chose this one before when I created this course. All right, and you're going to write retry there. And I'm just going to resize that a little. I'm just going to check to make sure it is bold. Okay, and we have white text. And I'm going to change the size to 18. There we go. And I'm going to make the color, I'm going to change that color to my pink color here, but you can use whatever you'd like to. And then of course it always changes to black. So let's go back here and make sure that's white. There. Okay. So we'll just leave that button here for now. And let's set the initial state of this button. So go down to states here to hidden because we don't want it to show up yet. So it's going to gray it out. And let's set some triggers. So go back to button 6 here. So remember at button 6 we had the repeat opposite direction text box disappear. The reason why we have it disappear is because we now want this button to appear. So we need to create another trigger to change the state of this new button. So I believe it's button 7, but let's just check that, see if it highlights. Button 7, there we go. To normal, so now we want it to appear when the user clicks the last ball triggering motion button. And then we need to create a couple more things here. So we need to create a trigger to change the state. I'll just move that up. Of button 7, so that's our retry button, to hidden. So we're gonna make it disappear when the user clicks on the retry button. And the reason we do that is because once they click on it, if they do want to retry, we want to reset the slide. So I'm going to show you how that's done. Okay, so now we hide it. And then we create a trigger. Now this is a different one. We're going to jump to slide. And we're going to choose the slide that we are on right now. So our step 4, let's break it down. So we want to make sure it goes back to the slide when the user clicks button 7, which is our retry button. And then click OK. All right, so I think we've created all that. And before we preview, I'm just going to create the speech bubble that goes here. So I'm going to go back to, and you can always scroll over in the story view if you can't see, like this, using this bar down at the bottom. I'm going to go back to the juggling process screen. I'm just going to copy this speech bubble here. I'm going to scroll back over and go up to our let's break it down slide. And then I'm going to paste the speech bubble in. And then I'm going to go back to the storyboard and copy in the text that we need. So here's the text that we need. And I'm going to just paste it in here. And then I'm going to just make sure that it's set properly. So we'll bold that. We're going to make that size 20. I'm just going to resize that now. There we go. And it's your choice if you want to center that on this speech bubble, so you can center it like this. Whatever you want to do there, it's fine. And I'm just going to position that a little bit better because we won't need to move that around once we get it there. So I think that looks pretty good. Just leave it there for now. And just make sure in the timeline that that again is showing always. So we'll just double check some of these. Okay, this one, I think the retry button, let's just make sure that's showing always there. And there's our speech bubbles going out to 60 seconds, and we'll make sure that shows always. There we go. Okay. And now we're going to create a trigger here. Like I think I alluded to this in the beginning of the video, to make sure that this timeline is paused right before the end of it, just in case later when we add any exit animations that text boxes don't disappear off the slide, because the learner may take their time on this slide and they might just let it sit there for 2 minutes, or they might try it over and over again. So we need to just make sure that. So I'm going to say here to pause timeline, this slide, when the timeline reaches, instead of using a cue point, you could use a cue point. I'm just going to set this to 50 seconds, like so. And one last thing before we preview this, go down to the bottom right here and right click and go to properties. So we want to make sure a few things here because this is not a regular slide. So the slide will advance by the user. Yes, that's okay. But when revisiting, we're going to change some of these on some other slides too when we go back to do some troubleshooting and just adding animations and such. But for this one, I'm going to do it now just because this is a little different. We want to reset to its initial state so that it will go back to the beginning once we click on it again from the main screen. So reset to initial state. And we don't want to have any navigation buttons on this. It's because it's a lightbox slide. It's going to have a little X in the top right like this. So we're just going to uncheck all of these and then click OK. So we're going to just go preview this. Now note that there's no animations on this yet, and I haven't lined these up yet, but we're just going to preview it and see if things kind of are looking like they're working the way we want with the states and the triggers. And there's no slide layers yet to trigger the motion of the balls, so we'll have to add that next in the next video. So I'm going to just go preview this slide. So I'm going to click as though I were doing this. So we have the start here. Now I know it's over here, but we're going to move it in a minute. Okay, so ball 1. So that disappears. That's what we want because it's going to show the animation. Ball 2, ball 3. That's correct. And then it shows the next set. And this text box start here disappeared. And then ball 1, which you can't see it happening. And then ball 2, ball 3, and that disappeared. And then retry, and it goes back to the beginning again. Retry. So I think the main part of it, it's all working. We just haven't got all the elements yet together. So let's go back now, and we're going to just line these up. Okay, so let's start by moving these. I'm going to set using size and position because I've already created an example of this before, so I want to try to help you along as best I can. So I'm going to go to position here, and I'm going to set this at 89 pixels, 282 pixels for the vertical, so 89 horizontal, 282. And then we can always tweak it from there, so we'll see how that looks once we get them all set. So I'm just going to move the next one. So 89 pixels and 330. And the next one, 89 and 378. Okay, so we'll be positioning them there. So I'm going to move these hidden ones now the same way. 89 to 82 for the first one. So it goes right underneath the other one. $89 and $330. $89 and $378. Okay, so I think maybe the hidden ones are on top. Let's just see and maybe send those to back. Yeah, okay, so I'm just gonna send those to back just so they're in the order that like we want to see them. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna move the text boxes now. So I'm just gonna mostly eyeball it just because we want to center it now with the ball positions that we created. So I'm gonna do that right now. And you can use the guidelines to help you. And it doesn't have to be perfect, so we'll leave it like that for the moment and see what this looks like. So let's go preview this slide. All right, so now we have them overlapping each other. So let's see what this looks like. All right, now the next one. And then the retry button, and we start over. Now we don't have animations on this yet. Once we do, it's gonna look a lot cleaner. So ball 1, we click on that. It disappears and we show the animation. Ball 2 disappears, we show the animation. Ball 3, show the animation. And then repeat. Now we're just showing the animation, so we're on the slide layers, which we're gonna create in the next video. 2, 3, and then the retry button. There we go. Okay, so in the next video, we're going to create the animation slides, so the slide layers to go along with this lightbox slide.